All right, guys, my phone's a little low on battery, so before I start working, I'm going to make a quick video, put my phone back on the charger. But as you can see, I got my brackets. I cut them out. I did take some pictures. I cut them at work. So I used those nut inserts that I told you guys about, but what I couldn't exactly do is countersink them in there because these are made to wedge on like sheet metal. Although they did have a mechanical lock on the aluminum, I didn't want to rely on just that, so I ended up just tack welding a flat washer on the back. I put a bolt through it, did not screw up the threads or warp them or anything like that. And you can see we'll be able to bolt our bumper through without having to hold a nut on the other side, and we'll still have some adjustment as the frame is slotted. And on the front, I made my oval holes. Not exactly science there, just obviously I laid these into my original brackets to get kind of a locating spot, and it seemed to work out all right. I'm actually impressed at how well I did mirroring them to some extent. Now, these brackets weren't identical spitting images, but I probably could have cut a little off the top on that one. Clearly, you could see I didn't do that, but it'll work. To hold the bumper on, and I took out quite a bit of weight out of them, but I'm going to get these mounted up, and as I go here, I'll take some videos. So I'm going to throw my phone on the charger. I'll get back to you guys here in a little bit. All right, guys, so I got the bumper kind of mounted on there, much like the other day you saw it. So what I did was I propped it up just right, and I marked through the inside of the bracket. I was able to get a Sharpie and just make my little pinpoints, and they could be somewhat close. We're going to have adjustability, and I'm going to make the bolt hole slightly bigger than the open, to allow adjustability. And then once the bumper's bolted on, we still have to go back. So usually when I set up panels, so let's say I'm going to set up a hood, right? I'm going to set it up all the way forward, and then the hinges are also going to be set up all the way up and forward. And that way you can go from there. You know that everything is at the same spot. Now, another thing I've mentioned in the other videos is I measure the width of the hood. And then I set up the width between the fenders with the wanted or desired edge gap once you set up your panel. So let's say you guys are going to set up your fenders. Now let's say your doors are good. So let's you start back to front. So you set up your back door edge gap good, right? Now obviously if the door is low in the back or in the front, it's going to change how this whole contour looks. So if it's low in the front, it's going to be tight at the bottom, big at the top. And then the other dead giveaway will be your gap at the bottom of the rocker panel should be pretty even. In this case it is. It's a little higher in the front, but that's what we needed to do on this one to make everything good, right? I did skin these doors, so the panel could have been shifted on the frame itself, and because in theory, if this is high, it should be tighter up there, but it's not. But we've also replaced the quarter panels, but still, in my opinion, better than GM quality. But either way, I always have to say that. You start back to front. You set up the back of your door, your bottom ledge on the rocker, and then you could set up your fender. And then once you set up your fender, you got to worry about the front. So you also got to center your core support. Now, I've told guys this. You can tram it out. So let's say you're going to measure from this hole to that back hole in the firewall, and you're going to use the same adjacent hole on that side to that one. And if you measurement across, and across is the same, you know your core support is centered. And then from there, you know that your fenders are going to be dead center based off of the core support. So they're not going to be out this way or they're not going to be out that way where you're going to have to move them after you set up your hood. So that's how you square up all of your panels. You can use a tram gauge, you can make your own, you can use a tape measure, as long as wherever you're measuring from one point to the other and the other to the other are all equal points. So we know that those two holes in the back of the firewall are dead even, and these two holes are dead even. You can do a cross measurement and you center your core support, then you align your fenders, then you go ahead and you do your hood once you do your width, and then now we're on our bumper. So I set up my brackets all the way forward and down, both sides. So I can go back and up. So we could definitely come up. You see a little gap there, but we're pretty good overall. So I'm going to go ahead, pop the bumper off. I already made my marks. I'm going to drill my holes, bolt it to the brackets, get it in, get it back in place, bolt it through. And I am going to use rubber isolators between the bracket and the aluminum, because it's not an exact flat fit on the fiberglass. I don't want to strain it. I don't want it to move. So I am going to use some rubber bushings, much like you would use, I don't know, pick these up at the hardware store. Maybe 3/16. So kind of good for the job, and then washers behind it just to square everything up. So I just wanted to let you guys know where I'm at. You can see side gap. We still have to get the bumper back. So once we get it back further, it should tighten up. Again, I'm in the infancy stages as I'm going here. Nothing is really bolted. Everything's just kind of snug. So we still got adjustability here. So I'll let you guys go. We'll follow it up at another interesting point for you. All right, I just want to point out how integral the tape is to this operation. I got the jack stands, I got the jack, I got the tape, everything to hold it in place so I can mark as best as I can the back side of the bumper. So I want it to kind of pull it up and keep it in place where I really, really need it. So from here, I've marked everything. I'm going to take it off. I'm going to drill some holes, bolt it in, and then probably do even more adjusting afterwards. But I just wanted to let you guys know how integral. I got tape holding it from onto the jack stand, onto the fender, from the, core support, whatever's left of it, to that. And so it really, this is integral to making this line up as best as possible. So figured I would share that with you guys, and that was pretty good info to not pass up. All right, guys, so it's on. It's not too bad. It's definitely not perfect, but I think and you see the paint scrape, that's from my chrome bumper. When I put it on, I'm not worried about that. So, fits pretty good. Doesn't look too bad. You can definitely see where the fiberglass has warped a little bit already. But, we got a little bit of a gap at the front, but that's fine. The height is pretty good on both sides. Like dead on the front, it looks pretty good. You can see the gaps are almost identical on the sides, and I did have to stretch it a little bit by pushing it in and tightening it up. And it's not exactly centered, but it's close enough. My other bumper also didn't line up exactly dead center, and that's because my frame rails at the very end aren't exact. Told you guys about that accident back in 2010. So overall, I'm pretty happy. I think if somebody was to buy this bumper, they'd be highly upset. I think people would expect a little bit of a better fit. But considering I made this on my own, it's not bad. And this is the first go of it putting it on. Ultimately, the freaking bolts that I use. Let me start by saying that I am so pissed off. I bought nice stainless bolts and freaking Nylox. It went to shit. They literally were the correct everything, and they stripped. They got jammed up. 2 of them did, and I threw them away. So I have to get different bolts, and I'm going to go to a different style that's going to allow me a little bit more adjustability to get some of these gaps a little bit better. But that'll be the next go about it. Obviously, we still got little nicks and things to take care of, but for now, it's a bumper. We took a bunch of weight off the nose, and it's going to serve its purpose. It doesn't look bad overall. I think it looks pretty good for kind of what it is. Let me move some crap around here. Yeah, I wanted to put nice little button head Allen bolts in there, and but overall, I think it's pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. It's not perfect, but it'll do the job, and I get to say that I made it. I'm pretty proud of that myself. Wasn't like to impress. This was just a means to an end, and I'm glad that I could share my work with you guys. Just to think outside the box. I mean, if you can't get it, you can make it. If you can't, I mean, if you need a CNC machine, that's going to be hard to do unless I got a friend of mine who has quite a few CNC machines, so he could almost make whatever the fuck he wants. But, this was relatively inexpensive. I spent more on painting this bumper than I actually did on making it. But materials in the bumper, I think I'm about 80 bucks. And then time-wise, I think I might be in it like 8 hours altogether. So it was a fun project. Learned a lot. And I proved to myself that I could do something that, I still got it. I can do something that's outside of my boundaries that I've never done. And I can kind of make a little accomplishment there. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this project, making the car lighter. And you guys get ideas, especially if you're racing, this is free horsepower, dropping weight in the car, every 100 pounds is a tenth. That's all a big part of the equation. It's not just about an engine that makes power. It's about putting the power down and using it wisely. So I think it's important to cover this stuff because it's a one big part of the equation. So I think we're pretty much ready for the track. Weather isn't in our favor at all. It's not in our odds. It's supposed to be raining clear until next week. So we might actually go during the week for some time passes before I go on vacation. And if I can't make it, then I'm kind of screwed until I get back from vacation, which won't be till the end of the month, and hopefully it doesn't warm up too much. If not, we've lost our window. Pretty much by the time you hit May, it starts to really warm up. So again, I hope you guys have enjoyed this. Again, I can't say that it's perfect, but I can't say that it's bad. So, I did have a hard time putting this on by myself. But overall, I think the results that I have are good. The brackets weren't exactly dead on. So when I reconfigure this, I am going to, as far as at the frame, everything is good. I do have to make some more elongations into the aluminum brackets. A little bit bigger holes on the bumper with the proper button head bolts that I wanted because I ended up using shit that I didn't want to use. But overall, I'm really happy. It looks like a bumper. It's not going to look hillbilly. And, one of them, I wouldn't mind racing without a bumper, but I'm trying to go to our track at night, one of the few tracks in the area that runs at night. And I haven't had a good night picture of this car in a long time. And the way that track is lit up, you get no glare in the background. So it's really cool. It makes for really good pictures there. So I wanted the car to look good because, again, we're going to be trying to go the fastest that we've gone. And hopefully everything falls into place for us and it works out for us. If not, then you know what? We've gone 1168. I had a goal of 11.7s, like a high 11.7. I went faster than I ever thought I would. I'm happy. This engine really does have to come out and get freshened up or at least inspected. It's been abused. And for my own self-satisfaction, I want to make sure that what I'm doing is right and I want to inspect it because, again, I'm learning as I go here. I've never built an engine like this before. I've never ran a solid flat tappet cam. There's a lot of firsts for me with this entire combination. So I've worked my way up to where I am, and I've never really spent any time in any real area. But I think right now with this combination, this is an area I really want to be in. I want to get serious about racing. So the whole idea is to make everything rock solid down the road and just start racing. And we're going to make a series about that. I'm going to work with my friends, getting better at driving, dialing in, and hopefully I can cover all that. And that's something I really want to work towards in the future with you guys. So hopefully you guys, have enjoyed this. I'm sorry if I bored you, but share, like, subscribe. You can follow me on Instagram, Copper Cutlass. I got a couple more little things left to do. Got to put on my overflow on my battery tray, and we're done. So see you guys. Thanks for following.